Hello and welcome to the Dr. Mumbi Show. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray that you are well, fam, in all your ways and that you are living your best life. Thanks to everybody that has come with us to this new channel, this new platform. Well, backup channel. I don't know, we'll only be here for a week. Well, but we will go into deeper into the future. Thanks to everyone that's joined us on Patreon. We are definitely going to start uploading. We've gotten some cloud space, literally, and we're going to start uploading some very interesting, information for you. So make sure you join us over there, fam. So many stories happening across the African continent, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And, I said it last week, and I will continue to say it. Africa-China relations will never, ever be the same again. In fact, there's like a foreign policy article in this month's, Foreign Policy magazine that talks extensively about how the relationship that China spent like 20 years building, with Africa, building our roads, building this, and literally exploiting us, copy-pasting, the former colonizer and becoming like the neo-colonial master, it has just been poof, blown up into into thin air. And we saw, the governments, most of the governments across the African continent, some actually reached out to me and said that, the only people that were being kicked out of their homes were, the people who didn't have papers or whose visas had expired. And I was wondering, so if you go there and there's a lockdown and maybe you've been given a 2-week visa, what happens then? And don't forget, we need a visa to go to China, but Chinese can come in for like 6 months, just 3 months in some countries. You know what I mean? So these are all lies. And the government has actually sided with China, which is like bile, which is painful. And, and in the same breath, they are actually also asking China for debt forgiveness. So this may explain to you why, no African president came out and spoke against some of the atrocities. But you know what? I think it's just about time that people start taking matters into their own hands. And that's what we've been seeing, across the African continent. I told you, you may not be seeing a lot of it because China has invested heavily in African media. And so a lot of the stories about how the Ugandans, were kicking them out and how they're being treated across the African continent, you would think it's business as usual. And they ran a massive PR campaign because the only thing China cares about is Chinese optics. They absolutely hate being made to look bad. And, the backlash of this, it doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter if our presidents were each to give a press statement, copy-pasted, like we've seen them do with this pandemic. It doesn't matter if they were to come out and say that China, the people were there illegally. I think our freaking PS, for foreign minister, some crazy guy, he actually had the nerve to say that, the issue with the Kenyans is because of the social distancing and they were living sometimes 5-10 in a apartment. I mean, they should just keep quiet because we know they've been bought and sold off, Yeah, I won't even tell you anything about. I was gonna say something, but that's classified. Let me just stop throwing bile. You know what I mean? Anyway, stories for other days. So now what happened is that a lot of different African nations, it doesn't matter what the foreign governments say, but here on the ground, things are different. And a lot of Africans are extremely upset at how the Africans in China have been treated. And in fact, recently, we actually saw some Kenyans drive out Chinese from a mine as police watched helplessly. And basically, residents in this area called Migori in Kenya, where they mine for gold, they invaded a gold mine over land grabbing claims, forcing the government administrator. I can't even speak because this story made me happy, man. I must say it's sick, but like whatever, and the forcing the government administrator and the Chinese contractor to flee. And basically, what happened is that the Chinese investor was forced to flee over. He had to literally jump over his fence because because he had been given this land. So the man who owned this land, he passed on, and then the Chinese and the local administrators got in touch with the grandson, and they signed a deal with the grandson that kind of allowed them in the dead of night. Corruption, man. I swear, there's always a Judas among you. You know what I mean? And they signed this deal, amongst themselves, and he got this land and then he started mining. But the thing is, this is like ancestral land, so there's different graves on there, etc., etc. And so they got so angry, the locals got so angry at how this was done that they basically, rent like a mob to the gold mine and evicted the Chinese, and he hasn't been back since. And the family spokesperson actually said, the land was sold to a mining company managed by the Chinese. We have not been able to reach these people because of hostilities. People who acquired the land have not been willing to listen to any complaints from the family. Graves are there, and as you know, mining involves a lot of blasting, which has really interfered with the graves. That is just so disrespectful, man. And many wonder why they're like in the crazy situations there is. It's because you don't honor your ancestors. This is madness. And the family also wanted to know how the Chinese man was able to get a national mining permit, which is extremely hard to get in Kenya, and how the succession of the land and the sale happened on the same day. Because usually, the will be read, you'll hear who got the land, and then, maybe a month later, it will now be. But everything, of course, was done within 12 hours. And what we've been seeing in Kenya is that the Chinese have been going into these remote villages, bribing local officials and coming in with these big machines and taking over the industry. So where there was indigenous mining, where the people would take, the gold that they needed, these Chinese are coming and just basically like decimating the environmental, the environment. And it's all because somehow, some way, we got into this capitalist political system that has us at the bottom, where they come and take us and they give us paper. And now that paper is gone, now they're saying it's going to be numbers in people's heads. It's now going to be a digital currency because all the paper is dirty. It's just such wizardry and sorcery. I'm so shocked people don't see it. And what happened is that, this is not the first time that the people in Migori, Kenya, have actually, hit out at the Chinese. Last year, in a neighboring town called Osiri, angry residents actually set fire to an excavator belonging to the Chinese, and they took the company to court. And the court ruled in January this year that the Chinese company, Lijin Mining Company, was to stop mining in the area, but we're being told that some are still illegally mining. Yo, citizens, there's a constitution. Citizens arrest, Don't kill anybody, but take matters into your own hands. And the thing is, the site manager, there's always the Judas. Listen to what the Judas said. The Judas was like, but what we're offering the locals is a road network that we will build to enable them to carry the sand and deliver it to the customers. They give you pennies and they take billions. They give you pennies for gold. It's just shameful. This is where your governments have led you, fam. This is where your governments have led you. It's a day of reckoning. It's good we're all in lockdown so we can see all this madness. But seriously, this same government are the same ones who are going to lead you to slaughter and finish you off, because they actually still think they've taken so much paper money and allowed so much nastiness to be done to their people. And now, paper money will soon be null and void because they're crashing the economy. How foolish are these people? Anyway, until next time, fam. Mwah.
Mira eso. ¿Qué es eso? Hi.
think that might be a gas station or something.
Fuck yeah, it's a gas. Whoa!
Whoa!
Oh! What the? Holy shit! No fucking way! Oh shit! Oh shit! No, bitch!
ó lè ṣe pipeline.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up.